I will be looking at Death to the Tin Man by Ray Tentori and Passengers by Joseph Walker and their duration. Duration is simply the length of time. Our textbook gives us 3 different types of duration: screen duration, plot duration, and story duration. Screen duration is the movie's running time on screen. Plot duration is the elapsed time of those events within the story that the film explicitly presents. Story duration is the amount of time that the implied story takes to occur. Generally, in Hollywood films, plot duration and story duration are fairly similar. The relationship between the two can be characterized in 3 different ways: real-time, summary relationship, and stretch relationship. Real-time is when screen duration corresponds directly to the plot duration. Summary relationship is when screen duration is shorter than the plot duration. And stretch relationship is when screen duration is longer than the plot duration. Ray Tentori tells in his interview with Mark Santo that Death to the Tin Man was a college thesis. Death to a Tin Man, says Ray Tentori in his interview with The Reeler, is an adaptation of the origin story of the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz series. It's an adaptation specifically of Book 12 of the Oz series, which tells the story of how the Tin Man went from being a human lumberjack to being a metal man without a heart. We sort of took the basic premises of the story and then moved it out of the sort of Oz world and into sort of a surreal, rural, 1940s South kind of world. All the parts where there are a sort of Oz magic with witches and wizards and stuff, we replace it with evangelical mysticism. So there are pastures and congregations and rapture, instead of flying monkeys and witches melting when you pour water on them. The film's screen duration is 12 minutes. The plot and story duration relationship can be characterized by a summary relationship. The short film tells a story about Bill and how his love for Jane kept him alive after losing all his body parts except his heart and lungs. In the film, we see Bill get his arms cut off by his axe one by one, and then his legs cut off in the factory, and then the rest of his body goes. We can safely assume that all this did not occur in the short amount of screen time in Death of a Tin Man. Similarly, Joseph T. Walker's Passengers screen duration is 8 minutes. The plot and story duration relationship can be characterized by a summary relationship. The short film tells a story about how a group of random strangers on the sub are connected when they play the childlike game of don't let the balloon touch the floor, but with a feather instead of a balloon. They have all entertained themselves with the feather. But once the feather leaves the train, the strangers go back to being strangers and leave to go on to their daily lives. Because of physics, we can safely assume that it would take longer for that feather to travel from one side of the train to the other. The film shows a lapse of each passenger blowing at a feather every 2 seconds, as shown here. The summary relationship in Death to a Tin Man allows the audience to connect with Bill by knowing his entire story in the short amount of screen time. The summary relationship in Passengers allows the audience to watch the strangers connect over a long period of time, even in the short amount of screen time.